Hello and welcome back, and if you haven't noticed, I've got a small little problem. For some reason, there have been so many pillagers. Too many pillagers, in fact, which has caused me great distress. Now you see, I've been on this world for quite a few hours, just resource gathering, just collecting wax, fishing in the meantime as I fed my cows, fishing some more before collecting my sugarcane, then fishing again while I waited for my crops to grow so that I could harvest them, before fishing for the final time as I made the very difficult decision to go on a murdering spree. With all that being said, you might notice there's a lack of pathfinding in my background. The village is empty. I have somehow messed everything up. How are you gonna have a village without villagers? Unfortunately, there's way too much for me to do before I can go through all the trouble of getting the villagers back. Which is why I've got this. My to-do list. Let's get back in the bunker. The to-do list goes here. It goes here. If you couldn't tell, I was kind of worried that I'd forget to talk about the village. So I put it there and I put a few banners up, and it's also in my to-do list, right here at the bottom. Get rid of pillagers. I'm not sure if that's possible. I'm not sure how pillagers work. I'm hoping if I build a wall around where I project my village to be, and then light the whole place up, it'll help with the pillagers spawning. But if not, I'll figure something out. But we've got a variety of things. These are the things I want to do sometime soon. At this point in time, I decided the best course of action would be to read all 6 of these pages to you. Now that I'm older and so much wiser, I see the error of my ways and realize I should just bring it up when it's important. And right now, it's not important. Let's step outside for a moment. This is my understanding of redstone. This actually took me far too long to figure out, but let me explain a little bit. You put seeds up here. This hopper pulls them out and puts it in here, which is then pulled out by this hopper and put in here. So I do have a lot of bone meal because, as you've seen, I've been collecting from my farm. This is kind of how I imagine a bee farm to be, but a bit differently. Now I know for honeycomb you need these shears, so I was thinking maybe like a dispenser with shears, and then this would be the nest, and then there'd be a hopper. So we'd shear it, it would go down, and then there'd be a chest underneath, or possibly a chest here, and then the hopper points backwards. The problem with that is I have absolutely no idea if that's actually going to work. But I think it could be interesting, and it would help a lot with our bee farm if we just had something going automatically. I'm not going to get rid of this, but I think it would be interesting if we had this for looks. Because I think this looks nice. I'm actually rather proud of it. I've enhanced the carpety flowery bit a little bit, and so I think it looks a little bit nicer than it did beforehand. But if I didn't have to share it all the time, it would be really nice to just go in and have some honey and stuff already gotten for me. I was thinking I'd cove out a little hole in the mountain. I didn't quite want to do stairs down, so if worse comes to worse, I could always cove into that side. But that could be really interesting. As you can see, I'm oxidizing a few doors because I will need those way later when I get the village started. I also need tons of glass, so I'm going to have to find a desert to steal sand from. I don't know what I'm going to use the honey for yet, but I figured I might as well if I can. Now, as you might have noticed, I've got skeleton horses. I didn't know one could do that, but I did. I wish I were filming because it was actually a whole ordeal, because apparently a skeleton on a spider or something got shot with lightning that turned into like 5 skeleton horses. 4 maybe. I think there's only 3 up here. Yeah, they've all got like the same stats. I've debated whether I should kill them or not, since I'm going for more of a ghost village type thing. I suddenly decided maybe I should have a stables down there, and that's where all the skeleton horses should go. And then a small little tiny stable up here for my actual horse, who's decked out in all diamond. Also, something worth noting that you may not have noticed is I've got Hoffin's minimal armor mod on. I think it's really nice. You can actually see my skin, and the hats kind of look like crowns. It's cute, and it means I don't have to take off my helmet every time I try to talk. Makes everything a lot more simple and convenient. When it comes to the stables, I'm uncertain on what I should do. I haven't tested anything because I haven't had time. What I want to do is the stables, so that I can get these horses out of the way. And I could put my horse somewhere for when it rains. It's a pity that my horse has to sit out in the rain all the time. But I was thinking either the stables could go here or somewhere over there. I don't know if it'll look good. This needs a little more terraforming. I don't know if a stable right here would look good. I'm going to put the chest here. Going to light up this area a little bit. And then I will see you again once I've filled in the holes. Unfortunately, I lack the dirt to fill in that hole. But we were able to experience the grueling journey of picking up almost 5 stacks of podzol with a silk touch pickaxe, because it is the only tool in my arsenal that has silk touch on it. But it has eased my mind a little bit, so I believe we can get started on the stables right after I take a nap. Since it goes like that, putting the stables right here might be a nice little thing. This will need a little enhancing later on, but for now, this will be where the stables are. This is the first time I'm doing a voiceover for one of my builds, so I apologize if it's a bit lackluster. What I really wanted to go for with this build was sort of a mix between the style I went for with my beehives, as well as the style of my house. In the middle of doing all this, when I was coming back from more resource gathering, I was interrupted by another group of pillagers. I really don't know what to do about this, because I'm gonna need villagers in my village, and if there's pillagers everywhere. At this point in time, I went up to do the single stable for my personal horse that I will use. And the design for this stable was essentially just taking one unit from the big stable and pulling it up here. So it might look a bit over-engineered. Alright, so the stables have been completed. So why don't we go take a look? First, we'll need to head upstairs to get this one. Now my horse is already chilling in here. I waited a couple moments in order to make sure the copper was properly oxidized. I kind of like the touch of green added here. Sort of like how there's just a touch of green added there. And I think my cat is knocking everything off the Christmas tree. Alright, but this is just a sort of hint at what it's going to look like. Let's take our horse down in order to get the final look at the final stables. If you see them from above, I think they look rather nice. I think the little divots in between each stable on the roof adds a hint of individualism to each empty room. They're not empty though. Unfortunately, I found out you can't really put a horse through a gate, so there's no gate here. But if I just lead it up, it'll stay inside. That way it's safe from the rain. But this is the final look at the stables. This is how I'll usually be seeing them when I'm walking by. I think they look rather nice. I'm proud of them. They may not be the best stables in the world, but I think they look nice. I'll probably actually see them more like from this perspective on a horse. But I think these little... I really like the touch with the hanging signs. It's something I enjoy doing, and it's something I enjoy the look of. So expect many more hanging signs in the future. I think this is probably the color palette and everything for the entire village. And I will probably use a similar style when building it. As you can see, these pulls come directly from the bee farm, which is actually kind of hidden from here. But let's take an angle where we can see everything all at once, now that it's turning night and will possibly die. But if we go over here, we can sort of see everything all at once, and I feel like this makes a nice composition, especially with the mountain. I'm not sure how a tower would really add to it. So I might change that idea, but we'll see in the future. For now, let's ride off into the sunset. But that is all for this episode, and I really hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you again.